On this episode of the Soul Twin Stars podcast.
People who claim, oh, we love you, we want to spend time with you. Bullshit.
Most of us take at least 2 shits a day. Got 2 seconds to yourself. If you love somebody, there's time to text them.
This is a very personal story. I've never told it publicly.
You and I have our little weaknesses that we try to work on and often fail at. Like everybody else.
God fucking forbid you tell the truth about a narcissist.
Hi, I'm Lady Shadow, a witch with much to share, stirring the cauldron with magical self-care.
Hi, I'm Peaceful Nik, a medium divine. I chat with the dead and interpret every sign.
We are Soul Twin Stars, best friends through it all.
From spells to healing, we're answering the call.
From moon cycles to menopause and making peace with the dead.
We aren't afraid to talk about what's rarely said.
So tune in each week to get raw, real, and wise.
Let's talk about a spiritual life with absolutely no disguise. Welcome to the Soul Twin Stars podcast, Uninhibited Spirituality. Peaceful Nik and Lady Shadow here. We would like to first and foremost thank our sponsors for this episode. Thank you to Beans and Buttercream Bakery. Delicious homemade treats shipped anywhere. Call 417-973-2352. And Abernathy Photography, based in southwestern Kentucky, a professional and stellar company providing drone photography in both local and destination weddings. Visit abernathyphotography.com. Author Mary Ray's self-reflection workbook on conquering shame and guilt, Tell the Devil to Go to Hell, an interactive memoir, is available on Amazon.com. Craving delicious Italian cuisine? You can find it right here in Westchester County, New York at Fino Restaurant. That's Fino Restaurant at One Baltic Place in Croton-on-Hudson, New York. All of our sponsors are linked up on our Soul Twin Stars podcast Facebook page, and we thank them for making this podcast possible. And now, back to our episode.
Welcome back to the Soul Twin Stars podcast. It's going to get juicy because you all are going to hear about Nik and I's triggers, weaknesses, sensitivities. We're laying it all out as I ride in on my Briar unicorn and Nik rides in on her
Crow!
black crow.
I'm riding in on my black crow, who was gifted to me by a wonderful mentee of my annual mentee program. And she sent me a beautiful black crow. And that's what I'm riding in on tonight.
And she's snuggling with it right now because we are on a video chat recording this. And when we soon move to the video platform here in a few weeks, you will all get to see every time when we snuggle with something on the podcast. Now, we don't know if this is necessarily going to be a good thing or a bad thing, but we're going to find out.
You keep that unicorn in its stall.
Oh, I've got plenty of stalls, baby.
I want to talk about a divine moment that's way off the subject of anything we've ever talked about, I think, on this podcast.
Ooh, give it to us.
Well, it's something you have no interest in, Lady Shadow. But it's something
Now, how would you know that?
You'll know. You'll see. Something I am extremely interested in.
Oh, hold on. Let me guess. Is it sports related?
Yes.
That's the only thing I'm not interested in is sports and fucking gardening. But I do it anyway.
I know. You're always telling me you got to grow this or grow that. My 49ers, who I love so much. Now, don't judge me. You got to have
never.
something fun to follow in this day and age. They won again this week, and I'm so excited. They played the Falcons, and half their team is hurt. They haven't had a starting quarterback for weeks. Half their defense is out, half their offense is out, and they keep finding ways to win. And it just makes me so happy. And they have grit, they have moxie, they have teamwork. They really care about each other and care about winning. And I think that's a quality more people should have in their friendships and relationships. Find a way to make it work.
I love the resilience. You just said there was all this, jigsaw puzzling of teams and teammates and movements and injuries.
Sports.
And if you can still make things work, it's like when I lose an actor, I have to let someone go at a very crucial point, and I've got to get a fill-in. Sometimes the fill-in who has not been in those rooms rehearsing for 6 weeks, but only 6 days, makes the show.
Yeah. A
So
fill-in,
I
not a
love that.
felon. A fill-in, not a felon.
Fill-in. I know, not a felon. Oh my gosh, did I say felon?
No, 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 no. I'm just clarifying for the audience.
No felons here. We kicked them all off of our couch a few weeks ago.
What do you have any good divine moments you want to share this week, Lady Shadow?
Just the process of going through these wonderful rehearsals. We are 2 weeks from opening my off-Broadway show called Afterlife, and it's funny because all of my little insider friends who know that actors can be a little testy at times, and there can be a little drama on set, but I can honestly tell you, and I've been telling my friends, this process has been really wonderful. It's been a really peaceful set. It's been a wonderful journey to go through this rehearsal process. And so I go through, a couple days a week of these very long rehearsals, and we get to use a new space. Now we're in a smaller theater instead of a rehearsal room. So that's really nice. But the divine moment is that this is actually a divine process working on the show. And I think it's the subject matter, it's spiritual, working on the sound cues that are magical, and bringing everyone together with a really positive, death happy, death okay, death positive message is, I think, going to be really comforting for audiences and for the actors who are working on this. So that's my divine moment, just being in the divine moments of so many moments.
I cannot wait to see this play come to the stage. It is going to be so incredible. First of all, because you and I have been talking about spiritual stuff for over 30 years, and it's about the death and dying process or the afterlife process and figuring out, am I dead? Am I alive? Where the hell am I? I cannot wait to see it. I've read the script, which is amazing, but I cannot wait to see it in action. It is going to be so incredible.
And let the audience know, by the way, this is a show, yeah, about transition more than anything, and about smooth transitions and loving transitions. And it's okay to have your fears, but it's also pertinent that you let those fears go in these moments of transition, whether you're going through something in life still alive, or whether we have to let go at that time and or watch somebody else let go. But anyone can view the show. We're going to have a live stream of it, and you can go to hcptickets.com and you can purchase a live stream ticket for $35, and you can, for one ticket, sit around with your family and watch it live in New York happen, unfold on the stage right in front of your eyes live. And so, no excuse. If you can't make it to New York, you can just tune it in on your TV.
I love it. And you know what COVID taught all of us is that we can all be engaged in all of these wonderful things from across the world. I remember when we were little kids, and the dream was, and you see it on TV and in cartoons, having a video phone. Remember that? It's
Yes.
like, and now every single day, that's what I do all day long with my readings. I'm on Zoom, or I travel to, different cities and do readings, but I'm on Zoom a lot of the time. It's a video phone. I can pick up my cell phone and video chat anyone with an iPhone. Um, sorry, Android users, but but it's amazing and incredible that, yes, there are no excuses for anyone who says, I can't participate in your wonderful event because I live too far and I don't have the time. Well, guess what, people? There are no more excuses. Now everything is streaming, including the Afterlife play by the wonderful Lady Shadow.
Thank you. So instead of watching Netflix that night, tune in and support some actual theater, boutique, family owned, one of a kind, all original material theater. And that is super special because, again, we don't want the performing arts to die in the live venues with this
Oh,
new technology, right? So not
Yes.
only am I bringing New York purposeful justice by keeping live theater on a stage and these beautiful actors working and getting exposure, but yes, now it can be viewed around the world. We have that option, even for the family and friends of the actors who don't live nearby. That's kind of how it started, and now it's for anybody. So yeah, if you all are interested in checking out my work, it's going to be a beautiful play, and there's pretty high res graphics. Like, you'll get a nice view. I usually video from the second or third row, and you'll get a pretty clear show. So
And you know what? This subject brings up one of my triggers because tonight we're going to talk about triggers. We're going to talk about weaknesses. We're going to be real raw and real vulnerable tonight. And one of my triggers is people who are low effort family members, people who claim, oh, we love you. We want to spend time with you. We want to participate in your life. All of this bullshit. And they do nothing, make no effort to do that. And it's like, when you call me, you don't ask me a question about my life. You just want gossip. When you call me, you try to give me a guilt trip about this, that, or the other. Well, now, guess what? Don't call me. Because,
here,
it's like,
and you know why, because it's not about actually showing up to support somebody's dream. It's not actually to be a part of someone's life. You know what it is? It's that curiosity. They want to know what's going on,
yeah,
but they don't really want to participate in it. There's
yeah,
a difference between I want to know so I can gossip about it or be jealous of it or whatever, or criticize it or judge it, but I don't really want to participate in the goodness of it. I just want to bask in what you're doing so that I can either make myself feel better or worse based on whatever you're doing. That's what that's really about. That
exactly.
non participatory bullshit judgment from afar is exactly what you said it is.
And I had an experience after I became a medium with a person who had made fun of me for being a scientist previously, being an artist previously, having a big butt previously, um, having small boobs when I was younger. This person pretty much made fun of me for everything. And I was talking to this person after I was a medium and after I had given them a reading and a friend of theirs a reading, which had accurate evidence. And about a year later, I was talking to this person, and they're like, yeah, I don't believe in that stuff. And I
Hmm.
said, do you believe in me?
There you go.
Silence.
Yep.
Silence. Because I knew this person well enough to know they didn't believe in me because all they've done since I've known them is make fun of everything I've ever done.
Yep. Yep.
But people do that as a projection of their own insecurities. People do they judge you and make fun of you because they wish they were brave enough to be who they really are. And they're afraid and they're living in a facade often because they're like, if I explore what I really like, maybe I like basket weaving, but my family won't accept me if I'm a basket weaver, so I have to pretend I don't like it.
Right.
That's so for everybody out there who feels judged or is called weird or is insulted or put down for their career choices or their hobby choices, just know the people putting you down are projecting their own insecurities on you.
Yes. And it even goes deeper than that, Nick. The system, we talk about it all the time, is built on fear. So, how many people, what percentage of our population actually chooses their dreams and what they really want to be doing over some shit 9 to 5 vomit job, which you call it because it makes you that upset to go to it? We're not talking that every 9 to 5 job is a vomit job. We're not saying that. We're just saying the ones that make those of you
Everyone I
nauseous.
know has vomit job.
Right. But if you are nauseous waking up to go to your 8 to 5, it's a vomit job. When
Or
I
on
first
Sunday night, you're just anxiety ridden and can't enjoy your Sunday.
Oh, that's the worst, right?
The
You love
worst.
you love Thursday and Friday, but you're right. Sunday night is a total is theft, right? My husband, when I was dating him in the early days, he was working at an airport where he had to breathe in horrible fumes and crawl into airplane wings and fix fuselages. Yes. And he ended up despising that job because he'd already been there 10 years or something like that. But he would have such a hard time just getting out of the car if I would have to drive him to work. He'd go through all this anxiety and pacing and heart racing. I'm like, you don't have to work here. Like, you are not forced to go in there. You have choices. And no one ever told him you have a choice because he was raised that you go and do whatever you can, whatever you have to, which obviously when we're first starting out, we have to do those things. We go out into the world and we find things we don't like before we find things that we do, right? But unfortunately, in his little prison mind, he was stuck here forever, making his $17 an hour, breathing in these fumes, and with no change in sight. And also, he's not a change guy. It's tough to get him to change something around on his own accord without a lot of encouragement. So, I would see this go on, and I'm just thinking, how do we get you out of this and into doing something that you like? And it eventually happened, but the system raises us this way. And and the people in the system, which is 90% of us, raise their kids this way. So people come out and go, okay, yeah, I'm going to go to college, but I don't know what I really want to do. Or they'll get a degree and spend 6 years working on something and then decide, oh, I hate this. No way. And now you've just invested 6 years of time, money, and energy into something that you hate, right? Perfect example, a quick one. I had known this woman who was going to school for psychology, and she was already 32 and she wanted to get her doctorate. So she was already, putting in hours at the university, counseling people on the side, doing the whole thing. And then she got to the final, the end where they were adding up all of her hours and she had to write her dissertation and all of this. And she said, you know what? And this is before COVID. I want to go into epidemiology. I don't want to do this. I don't want to listen to people's problems all day. She decides to switch majors and get a degree in biology and epidemiology, right? Well, by the time she finished that degree, now she was 38. You're not going to believe this. She went through all of that schooling to find her thing and then got married, had a kid. The kid was 2, lovely little daughter. And she was diagnosed with melanoma and died a year later.
Oh my God.
So she put all of this time into school, thinking, I have all these years to figure it out. Never really fully got to immerse herself in the career choice that she wanted. She did marry the guy of her dreams. She did have her baby, which was great, but then just up and died. And there wasn't even any visible melanoma. It was all underneath the skin in her back.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So this is why my mission to be an example, as long as I'm here on this earth, I'm going to do what I love every day. Whether it's working on a show, whether it's working on a home decor project in my house, whether it's reading tarot cards for somebody or designing another deck or being a spiritual life coach, whatever it is, which I'm a combo of things like you, we're going for it. Like, I'm going to enjoy every little bit that we can squeeze out of this life. Now, this whole episode, of course, is about you and I's personal weaknesses, right?
Yep.
And so again, I think that when people are so bogged down in the layers of the system through fear, they can't apply their desires, their wants, and their goals to their life. They settle down too early, or there was an accidental pregnancy, which 65% of pregnancies, by the way, are accidents. And then we have to kind of just roll with life, and we don't get to always choose our destiny because things happen, right? And that's okay. And then it just makes you have to choose later. But I think that the root of a lot of people that you and I, for instance, and we're just naming our family members that can be trouble, is that most people are a bit jealous of those who can stop everything and say, nope, I'm making this decision and I'm going to follow through with it and I'm going to do this over here because it makes me happy.
Yep.
Happy people piss people off. Let's just be
Yes.
honest about this.
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
Because most people cannot tune in to that joy, that happiness, or that frequency that they know is them, that they've found their authentic selves, they know what they want to do, and they are going to go for it no matter what. Honestly, that probably is about 9% of the population. So we are working against 91% of the population who cannot relate to what you and I are trying to do with our lives, which is simply live with joy and happiness, right?
Right.
So we get a lot of shit from people because of the gossip, the jealousy, the wanting to know what we're doing, but not wanting to care enough about it.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is also my pet peeve. And one of my weaknesses while we're, rattling them off is that I become too forgiving, too invested, and I've had to work through my guilt as well when it comes to cutting people out. Right? And you have to have a pretty bad track record for me to actually do that, which has been a little loose on my side, but I have to start choosing my sanity,
Yeah.
more often first. So that is one of my weaknesses is I give too many fucking chances.
With some people, I give too many.
Exactly.
With most people, I give zero chances. And it can be a weakness, but it can be a strength. I have this weird ability, and I probably talked about this on here before, to box
Yep.
somebody or something up in a little container and just put it on a shelf and forget about it and not
Yeah.
care. Maybe that's a trauma response from my childhood. My dad left us when I was a little girl. He was pretty much out of my life after I was 3 until my mom died when I was 15. And so everything was so chaotic. I think maybe it was a coping mechanism, which, probably not the healthiest coping mechanism. So
Well, if it worked, did it work for you? When you have compartmentalized and put that box on the shelf, is it working for you right now today?
well, it depends on what the parameters of is it working.
Well, no, I mean, let's say your dad. Do you wish you had a different relationship with him, or is the compartmentalization and the shelf working in your favor because it's just too stressful?
Oh, for me, okay, that's a great, great question. And I will say this, when you try multiple hundreds of times over 50 years to develop a relationship with a low effort narcissistic parent, and you just get disappointed, 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 you stop caring that much about whether you have a relationship. So it's that is working for me now, but it's more of a boundary than the compartmentalization at this stage in my life.
Okay, interesting. And you know what else is interesting? Because that's on my list too. So we're going to list triggers and weaknesses. Personally, we're giving you all of our hearts dumped out on the table to our dear audience today. One of my triggers is narcissists, because you just mentioned a narcissist, right? But what's fascinating is that two things about narcissists. One of them is highlighted in my current play, is there's a line where one of the characters who are a narcissist is trying to figure out his afterlife. And he's like, you know what? Just take me to hell. I don't care. His dad meets him in the afterlife. And he says, do you know why narcissists live longer than most people? And he says, because we don't give a fuck about anyone. So not giving a fuck keeps us more stress free. Yes, so narcissists and they free themselves of consequences, and they just do whatever the hell they want. So it's true, the bigger the asshole, the longer they live for some reason. But the other side to that
We
is,
see that in the news every day now.
yes, yes, but the other side of this, you'd think that because we can't be friends with a narcissist or be part of a family unit, where there is narcissism, right? You'd think that these people would spend a lot of time alone, that these narcissists would have a lonely life, and that they would crave to be forgiven and fix their shit and come back. But guess what? These people have followers and friends and family members that are just okay with them being narcissists. And that's the interesting thing, is that they will choose to be around certain people. They will choose another life. They will choose other people over you, because I guess apparently those people will enable the narcissism and we will not. But it just sucks when you think about it, because it's like, well, they're choosing someone to have in their life. They're putting someone priority in their life. They're loving somebody as much as they can love as a narcissist, right? It's just not us.
I
So
know.
that's the other part that enrages me.
I can explain that. The reason narcissists do that is there's a bunch of different reasons, and I don't want to go on a whole tirade about it, but essentially, family members who ostracize the scapegoat, and you and I are both the scapegoat or black sheep of our family, okay? Narcissistic families don't like truth tellers. They bring close to them the people who they can convince that they are correct, who people who are agreeable, siblings who are agreeable, children who are agreeable, spouses who are agreeable. So they ostracize the truth teller because God fucking forbid you tell the truth about a narcissist. A narcissist, everybody in public loves a narcissist. Oh, they're so nice. I can't believe they murdered their wife. Huh, that's so weird. Because the nicer they are in public, the crazier they are at home. And so it's this whole dysfunctional, toxic dynamic of I'm the nice guy, I'm the good guy, or girl, woman, whatever. I'm just using that as an example. But behind the scenes, they are so dangerous and so manipulative, and they only draw close to them the people who they can manipulate and push away anybody who tells the truth. And I'm going to tell a story about this. This is a very personal story. I've never told it publicly. After my mom died, I had seen my dad twice in 12 or 13 years. Okay. So he was virtually a stranger to me. Um, we, my mom died in 86, immediately moved in with my dad from Missouri to San Francisco. We're sitting at the table a couple months after I lived there. And my stepsisters did not know that my father was physically violent, horribly physically violent towards my mother, and that I had witnessed it as a child and seen and heard horrific things. He was never that way to his new wife or to these kids. He did spank them with paddles all the time. I'm sure that didn't affect them at all. But but
Oy.
but we're sitting at dinner, nice family dinner, this fantasy perfect dinner that we're sitting in our house. And I just brought it up at the dinner table because I had told my stepsisters, I said, why does dad not hit your mom, but he used to beat my mom? And they didn't believe me, of course, because
Hold on. How old were you?
I was 15, right after my mom died.
Yeah.
And the jaw on my dad's chin hit the damn table. Couldn't believe it because it was a secret. It was his secret. And I'm like, you can say whatever you want. I remember it vividly. I can give you details of everything that happened. And he didn't want them to know. And I wasn't telling on him. I just was really curious. Why was he so different with my mom versus your mom? And that's how narcissists do. They put different people in different positions in the family. And that was probably one of my first strikes because truth tellers are a no-no in that kind of family.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that's similar accountability that I would hold my family members to when there was very obvious unethical decisions. Now, again, as a playwright, I like to differentiate all the time because when I write characters that are flawed, which just like humans, I love how people like to call bad decisions mistakes. Okay. A mistake is when you go to the ATM and accidentally take out $400 instead of 40 because you hit a zero on accident. Okay. A bad decision is straight up, you know, you're making a bad decision and you're not going to be held accountable. You're going to just try to get away with it for whatever reason, whether it's just your own pleasure or your own selfishness at the time. But bad decisions and mistakes are two different things. And I really hate when people will rationalize their bad decisions, especially when they've been called out throughout the bad decision and still do it. And then they say at the end, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. No, 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 you didn't make a mistake. Your behavior was chosen. You carried it out. And now you're going to pretend it was an innocent thing.
Yeah, mistakes are usually something that happens once, like taking 400 instead of 40 out of the ATM.
Right.
Bad decisions are, I cheated on my wife 15 times last year.
Right. Oh, that was an error. That was
It was
just a
another
judgment
mistake.
error.
It was another mistake. Boy, you
Yeah.
make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. That's a huge, huge problem. And people but the underlying problem is, and it makes me cry, the victims of these bad decisions are people who were in families where bad decisions were made. And so they're used to this behavior and they get in relationships and they don't recognize it. That happened to me. I came from, obviously, you've just heard a story I never told before. That's one teeny tiny bit of my childhood. That's the least pain of my childhood, that story. And so I got in relationships where I didn't recognize. Thank God I've never been physically abused by anyone ever, like in a relationship, I mean. Um, but I didn't know, and I'm sure this is very common and many people listening will understand this. I didn't know in romantic relationships many times that there was emotional abuse happening and things like that. But on the other side of the story, the romantic partners also came from toxic families. And so they saw that behavior. So they modeled the behavior. So if the toxic behavior and abuse continues and gets worse, that's a big problem. But if both people realize I came from a real messed up background, I didn't know saying these things was abusive. I want to change that. Now, that's a totally different story than somebody who continuously gets more and more and more abusive over time. If somebody takes accountability and recognizes what they did and apologizes and sincerely makes the effort to make changes because they didn't recognize their toxic behavior because they learned it, that's different. And everybody has to make decisions in their own relationships as adults, but there are, it's a spectrum, right? It's a spectrum of severe, constant, horrible abuse to, oh, I was unaware, but I'm learning and trying to get better.
Right. Well, and the other thing is that I think we can very quickly recognize when something is wrong or off. And
Yes.
if you're being abused as a child or berated or ignored or whatever it is, you automatically know, okay, that doesn't feel good. But
Right.
when we go into adulthood and we come into some perspective and we start having and forming friendships and relationships, come on. I mean, we are not that naive. We are born with freaking brains. We know what feels good and what doesn't. And we know what, if it felt bad for us, you know what you're doing to someone else by making them feel the same thing.
Some people feel comfortable in the pain so they can.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm not negating that.
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
saying that whether or not you're comfortable with that loop or not, you
Well,
know.
nobody should be. Nobody should be.
Exactly. But you still, whether you're comfortable or not, you still know it's wrong. There are so many cues your body gives you.
Yeah.
And if you are not receiving any signal to your brain that this is uncomfortable or wrong, or it feels weird, or it feels off, then we have a very deeper problem here.
Yeah, disassociation.
Right.
People in severe abuse. This happened to me because, I've been to therapy a lot.
Right.
Because of the SA I experienced as a child for many years,
Yep.
I learned to disassociate from my body.
Yep. Yep.
And that
You
is
had to survive.
it's a
Right.
very big problem,
But you
right?
weren't going out and forcing someone else to disassociate. You were working
No,
through your own pain,
right, right.
So there's a difference between what you had to do to survive and then later go through life and recognize it than you inflicting that on somebody else. What are your other two triggers? We each kind of like had we named a couple of triggers like that really piss us off in life and that make us go to a lesser place than we should.
Well,
What are your other two?
we're talking about two of the big ones,
Narcissism.
harm
Yeah.
against others, and misogyny and sexual abuse, SA.
Yeah.
But my third one that we haven't mentioned is staying neutral in situations of oppression. And this actually goes to including the family situations we were talking about. There are members of families that want to stay neutral, or people
Yes.
who want to stay neutral politically,
Yep. Don't rock the
which
boat.
which makes me so angry, especially now, especially in this day when the
Right.
sitting president tore down half the White House to put his $200 million ballroom in today. Disgusting.
Ugh, don't even get me
Meanwhile,
started.
people don't have insurance coverage. Women can't get medical care for ectopic pregnancies, et cetera, et cetera. Immigrants are being detained. 8-year-olds are being zip tied. I could go on just for hours with a list. And people who stay neutral in families when someone is being abused or oppressed, or in society, it makes my brain explode a million times a second.
Agreed. I can't stand when I am the first to step in to a family member situation and fully call out injustices, gossip, poison pen, and I will say, hey, knock it off. I'm not going to be a witness to this. But like, never does that happen for me. Never does someone else fucking step in and say, hey, LS is doing really well with her life and she does not deserve any criticism. You don't pay her bills. You're not her therapist. She doesn't put her drama in your lap. I am a fully functioning adult who takes care of my shit. And very rarely has anyone stepped in on my behalf to say, hey, let's knock this shit off. Let's not talk shit about something because we're bored or jealous. So I will always call it out. You will always call it out. But yeah, people who innocently bystand and just think that they're being neutral when you're really not, because being neutral is still a state of mind. It's still a state of being. It's still an action, right?
The,
And so what actions you choose shows who you are.
the quote that I have put on 2 shirts now because I wore the first one till it fell apart and I had another one made is being neutral in situations of injustice, you are siding with the oppressor.
That's right.
And
That's right.
I
You can
believe
speak up.
that
You have a mouth.
I believe that wholeheartedly. Now, this comes to one of my weaknesses. My weakness used to be really bad. I would just say anything at any time to anyone, maybe not at the appropriate times, right? But that was another coping mechanism. If I don't say it now, no, because nobody in my life fucking protected me from any harm ever. It's amazing I survived, and it just makes me so upset until later in my marriage when I realized, oh, my husband can protect me from all this shit, and he does a really good job now after all the therapy we've been through. But no one would protect me, so I had to protect myself. So I had to constantly say whatever was on my mind. And now I know, okay, hold on. I don't need to go on Facebook and write 12 paragraphs about how much I hate this person in politics because I realized people who support one side of politics are never, ever, ever going to care what I write on Facebook or say to them at the grocery store. They're not going to change their mind. It's like trying to change someone's religious belief. Same thing. You can say anything, you can show them evidence, you can show black and white. This is what it says in the Bible in Leviticus. It doesn't say being gay is bad, right? They're not, they're not ever going to change their viewpoint. So now I don't waste my energy trying to convince people that their belief is different than mine, but I think mine is right.
Yeah,
I'm not
I hear
feeling,
you. And and these are not just things that we try to work on, but then you and I have our little weaknesses that we try to work on and often fail at, like
yeah,
everybody else.
yep.
And one of mine is, and I think, well, I think you'll agree with it, but mine is severe impatience.
Oh,
I have no patience
zero, zero.
for for waiting in lines, for, I mean, I listen, I'm always in a hurry because I work 18 hours a day, and I never have enough time in the day to get, I'm creative, and I run two different businesses, so I never have enough time to literally get everything done, and every hour is designated, to growing businesses or doing a chore for the business. And of course, I love my business. They're like my children, right? But as you know, you had children, they take up a lot of time. It's a
Mhm.
24-hour job, right? And
Mhm.
so every minute counts. And it's just like impatience across the board for me. With
There's a great video that I think of with me and my husband and my patience problems because I'm just as severely impatient as you. And maybe I'm ADHD or autistically ADHD or something. I'm undiagnosed, but I would bet I'm somewhere on that spectrum. There's this video of a husband and a wife standing in the kitchen. There's a giant watermelon on the counter, and they're going to cut it up to eat it. And the husband has his knife sharpener, and he slowly, and it
That's
gives me
my husband.
anxiety, gives me anxiety talking about it. He's
Yeah.
slowly sharpening the knife. And da 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 da. And she takes a fork and she stabs the hell out of the watermelon until it falls apart. And he's just looking at her like, what the hell? That's me, 100%. And my husband, most patient person I've ever met, how he got that
my
patient.
husband my husband will go shopping with me, and he'll just walk around, look at things, and sit on a chair and play with his phone and the dog, and he's just like, or we'll go to the mall and he'll just be like, I'll sit in the mall. He never ever says to me, come on, we gotta go. Nope, he will sit and wait for me for hours. It's adorable. And me, I can't do it. I don't know how
No,
he does it.
oh my God, no, no patience. That is
Oh my
one of my
god.
biggest weaknesses is
Oh, me
my
too.
youngest son, who is also a fire sign. I'm a Sag Aries, and he's an Aries. And boy, we butt heads on the patience because he's like, you're so impatient, Mom. I'm like, get it done faster. Because boys are notoriously taking their time,
Yeah, yeah,
compared to their
exactly.
moms.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, impatience. And oh, what's my last big one here? Um, I tend to have very high expectations of people. And
Yes.
that goes along with my trigger of shitty friends. People who
Yep.
make promises they can't keep, people who don't regularly communicate. Let me just remind everyone that most of us take at least two shits a day, maybe one long one, 2 shits a day. Okay. So you're sitting, no one's going into the bathroom, I'm sorry, with nothing to read or a phone in their hand.
Exactly.
You are going in there with your phone. You are going there with a magazine. You're going in there with something. And if you've got 2 seconds to yourself to look at your phone, if you love somebody, there's time to text them. There's time to send them a little emoji. There's time to pop on their Facebook and say, hey, what's going on? A messenger or some form of communication. So it really, really, if you are going to claim that I'm a priority in your life, like I make my friends, then show me. Show me that. Don't just say you're going to do things.
Right.
I want to hear from you.
Right.
Show up and just show me your words. I don't care. It doesn't have to be a long video call or a 3-hour conversation 4 nights a week. It can literally be just a text.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thinking about you, really busy.
Yeah.
Let's catch up
it's
later.
so easy. It's so
Yeah.
easy. My mom raised me to write thank you notes for everything. Gifts, phone calls, favors, write a thank you note. I still do it today. Hell, I write thank you notes to strangers. You know me, I take a pack of note cards a couple times a month and I go and I write sweet blessings to strangers and I put them on cars. Like that's my thing. It's a beautiful thing to do. And so I love being in touch with people. I love going through my little list every day and touching base with my key 8 people or whatever it is in my circle. And it's so important that I do that. And it's really not that big of a deal to return the favor. It doesn't have to be a daily thing. But yeah, let's check in a couple times a week. And if you really love somebody, you'll want to talk to them on the phone in some way, or like you and I do a video chat every single day. That is paramount. I am a words of affirmation person and also know your love language. We've talked about this. My love language is affection, words of affirmation, and quality time. Okay. All of that go hand in hand with relationships and friendships. I love relationships and friendships. My husband and I, our marriage is built on constantly talking about things, laughing, joking, interacting with each other. Even when he steps out of the house, I want to be on the phone with him if he's got to drive because I love to talk. Anything and everything on a deeper level. I love sitting in my hot tub and just having deep talks. I love communication. And if a friend wants to be a friend in my world, you better be prepared to communicate because that is my number one thing. I don't want to be taken out to a fancy dinner once a year where you spend $300 on a steak for me. That does nothing for me. I need the daily. I want the weekly. I want the contact. I want the laughter and the joy and the sound of your voice. And that's the kind of friend that I am. So shitty friends, people who break promises, people who lose contact, people who can go months without speaking and then just go, oh, let's pick up where we left off. Well, that's fine if you've gone to Uganda to do an internship for like 8 months and you have limited.
My daughter-in-law actually did that.
I know another friend who did actually do that too. She went to be a midwife over there, but she still found a way to email me. I mean, come on.
Yeah, she could video call us from Uganda. I agree about high expectations. I have extremely high expectations as well. And there's this little meme that goes around and it says, if I'm too much, find less.
There you go.
And I believe in that so much. Now, obviously, there's circumstances, blah, 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 but we all should make the effort in our friendships, in our relationships. I had conversations with a couple of people over the last couple of years who said, well, you should ask me questions about this type of thing or that type of thing, and I'm interested in this or that. And I said, are you interested in asking me any questions about anything about my life?
Right.
Like you're giving me a list of things I need to ask you about, but are you concerned at all about me?
It's an exchange.
You just want me to ask you questions about things you're interested in so you can talk for 45 minutes and I just sit there and stare at the wall. I'm not interested in that kind of relationship.
Right, of
If
course.
it's not reciprocal, if it's not equal exchange of energy, I'm not interested in it.
Well, it's called listening and responding.
Yeah.
Listening and responding, laughing, joking, creating moments where it's a nice obviously it's a nice back and forth. And plus, you're super educated. I'm a damn writer for a living, so I have to write two sides to every story. I had a friend who I'm no longer friends with. They moved away, but she was a bit of a talker. We would talk on the phone for 4 hours and it would be 90% of her talking. I don't know how you don't become self-aware enough to realize there is someone else on the other end that's got stuff to share maybe too. And it's again, just a little self-awareness goes a long way. But please, everybody, be the best friend that you can be to the people you love. Just stop, listen, share, check in more because yeah, I mean, my priorities are the people that want to invest in the small amount of daily words that are exchanged are going to get my time. That's just how it goes.
I
Yeah.
like affection. I get turned on in relationships by deep conversations. Like
Yes, yes, yes.
I have no patience for small talk, patience for superficiality in any
Yep.
way.
Yep.
If you're as deep as a thimble, I don't want anything to do with you. And for those of you who are younger, a thimble is something the size of the end of your pinky finger.
You call it a Barbie shot glass
A Barbie shot glass, exactly.
or a Cabbage Patch size shot glass.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what a Cabbage Patch kid is either, I guess, around that.
I
No,
like depth from here to the Andromeda Galaxy into
agreed.
the ocean. I
I want to
just,
dig through your stardust, baby.
exactly. I want to know people at the soul level. And it's more intense since I've become a medium.
Yes.
And it's, reading people always, I guess I kind of like to see, I'm reading someone's energy. Am I right? Are they being honest? Like I'm not trying to do it on purpose. It's just kind of a gauge when I talk to people. And most people are very shallow and superficial that, it's hard to find somebody that to relate with deeply on,
Yeah.
you know, I am a medium and a scientist.
She's a medium-sized medium.
I'm a mid-sized woman.
Well, speaking of size, let's do a body image check-in because we have struggled with that our whole life in different ways at different times of our lives. And
Yeah.
let's go there really quick.
Well, I'll start because I know you have a whole bunch of stuff that you're going through right now, working through. I was a very thin person, was very athletic my whole life. I was just naturally in shape, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't really trying that hard. It was just I had a good metabolism. Um, I was the girl everybody hated because I could lose 10 pounds in a weekend just by cutting back on, half a meal instead of a full meal. It was super easy for me to lose weight when I was younger. And I got pregnant with my first son and was so sick for 4 months, 24 hours a day, throwing up constantly. I lost 10 pounds while I was pregnant, which is very dangerous. And then I found a nodule on my neck, and it's a thyroid goiter or tumor or nodule, whatever. It's not cancer, they've tested it, but I gained 60 pounds in 4 months in the end of my pregnancy. I was not eating anymore. I was not doing anything to gain that weight. I wasn't eating 12 meals a day or 20,000 calories. I just exploded my weight. It was crazy. And then I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease and have been on thyroid medication ever since. And I have been made fun of and criticized by friends, by family members, people I love, saying if you don't drink Coke on Christmas, you won't gain weight, stupid shit like that. And it's like, you don't understand science or biology or autoimmune diseases. So shut up and leave me alone. Like it's very hard to go from someone who's been thin all their life to someone who cannot lose a pound no matter what they do. And the harder you try with an autoimmune disease, the more weight you gain because your body swells up from
Yeah.
the stress and the inflammation. So I have a lot of negative self-talk. I'm working on it thanks to some of your suggestions, Lady Shadow, as far as my mental stuff, my
Yeah.
self-talk. But it's hard because I have to accept I will be this mid-sized woman for the rest of my life, very likely. And I'm healthy. I have very good A1C for anybody checking my blood sugar. It's 5.4. Um,
Nice.
my cholesterol's perfect. I get my blood work done and all that's great. It's just, it's the way it is. It's hard to cope with, but I'm getting better.
Yeah, yeah. And also, at this time of our lives, I mean, we're not necessarily out to win beauty pageants or,
Well, we
you
both
know.
won a beauty pageant, so that's not a problem. And nobody can see us, so we can pretend that it's real.
Well, everybody knows what we look like at this point, I'm sure, because we're all over YouTube and Spotify and God knows where else, Facebook. But yeah, no, and same with me. I've been up and down all of my life. Food has been my one kind of weakness because it's been my celebratory addiction where I don't eat because I'm stressed. I only eat when I'm celebrating, feeling good. But that's like 90% of the time. I'm one of those happy-go-lucky people, right? So it's like, oh, another reason to celebrate. I feel great. But then, of course, when you overindulge or I take in too many carbs, I get the aches and pains, I get the inflammation
Oh
immediately.
yeah.
And so
The gluten
yeah. Yes,
gluten is
yes.
notorious for that. And I just want to say before you finish, I am not a celebratory eater or a stress eater. I measure everything I eat every day and I know exactly how many calories I take in and I'm not a muncher or a chip eater or anything like that. Just FYI.
Yeah, I'm not a snacker at all. I never have junk food in my house either. I don't have chips, cookies. I don't keep any of that. If I'm going to go out and indulge, I'm going to get like a little serving of it and then eat it then and there. And it doesn't sit in my house at all. But in 2019, I lost about 85 pounds, doing ice skating again and keto. And I maintained that weight loss until I went through menopause last year. And when all periods stopped and finally the hot flushes have gone away, well, now I'm left with whatever hormones are kind of trickling down into my system and making it much harder to keep weight off and get weight off. So I have had to revamp a little bit, restart, go back into some fasting, go back into some serious keto. We're talking clean keto, not like bacon cheeseburgers every day for dinner. We're talking avocados and eggs and vegetables, and pretty much all I eat is meat, avocado, eggs, and vegetables, repeat. But now that I'm fat adapted, I've been doing this for almost 2 months again. I am feeling so much better and getting everything back on track. I even feel like my hormones are balancing out. I'm reinventing my relationship with my husband. Like every couple of years, we go through a new hotness for each other. We find some cute little way to desire each other in a different way, and it's really fun to, like Madonna reinvents herself, we reinvent our relationship because it's 20 years old, and so we find fun ways. And so right now I'm in one of those good places where I'm loving on my curves and I'm sending love to all of my little curvy places as they slowly reduce, and just getting used to looking at my body and being okay with it. And as it changes, as it does its thing, as I give it love and nutrition, and you and I take very high end vitamins. That's another thing I think that keeps us super healthy. So all of those things. So right now I'm feeling good. It's only going to get better, but I think that it's a daily thing. You have to wake up and once again choose your words, choose your thoughts carefully. But like you and I, sometimes life gets the best of us and we're not perfect either. We have our struggles, we have our weaknesses, we have our triggers like everyone else, and it is what it is. And yeah, so we hope that we have helped everyone kind of get real and honest today about being a human, being a woman, being a person on this planet and what that entails. It's a struggle for all of us. We are not millionaires. We're working class entrepreneurs over here, still putting in, what is it, 80 hours a week, girlfriend, that we put in to our
Oh,
businesses, probably.
yes.
Yeah. And so, your kids are grown. I don't have children, so my businesses are my children. Now your business is your children, but you have grandkids now. We're human too. Sometimes we just say we're putting it on that shelf and we're going to just let dust collect on it.
Well, and my goal, and I appreciate everybody who listens to the podcast every week, and I appreciate you, Lady Shadow, for being so open and honest and vulnerable. My goal in my business is to help people see that no matter what type of background you come from, no matter how bad things have been, we can always get to a different, better place. It may take 50 years, but we have to keep in mind that one tiny change every day, like starting with gratitude in the morning, start with gratitude in the morning, can help change our perspective and see that we deserve more than what we're going through. We can make our life better. And healers don't heal people. They allow people to see that they can heal themselves. Because let me tell you, nobody's coming to save us. There's
No.
nobody coming to save us. We have to save ourselves, period. Period.
Yep. And one other quickie thing is, like, just doing a little bit of gratitude work and trying to keep thoughts positive. And then again, the gossiping thing. Gossip is so bad on your soul because it's so negative, and it, in the end, those thoughts just come back to your own self-criticism, whoever you're criticizing.
Yep.
But to channel that energy not into the freaking TV, but into some kind of wonderful hobby. Like, I have two main hobbies, horseback riding and ice skating. And if I could do those things every single night of my life, I would be doing them because they bring me so much joy. So find something, anything, a little hobby, needlepoint, painting by numbers, meditating. You can play with toys. You can make doll clothes, make Play-Doh sculptures. There's so many things that we can channel our energy into that make us feel good. Find something that you can engage with outside of just work, wherever that sanctuary is in your mind. Try to find that.
I agree. And I actually did that a couple of nights ago for the last like 3 nights in a row. I was really upset about the news and just, the world. And I set my phone down. I told my husband, I said, if you see me pick up my phone, tell me to put my phone down. Because you just get in the habit of just picking it up and looking at it. And
Yeah.
I had this Day of the Dead skull that I had bought that was plain white. And I'm like, I'm going to start painting it. And I've spent the last 3 nights painting it and putting sparkles on it. And it really kept me from staying in that loop.
I love that.
There are very inexpensive things. I mean, pencil and paper, just draw circles, draw flowers, draw stick figures. Buy a children's coloring book. I used to do that all the time. Go to
Yes.
Dollar General, buy a children's coloring book, and you got to have the Crayola crayons, though. I'm sorry. Those cheap crayons are terrible.
Agreed. Get some, you can get the Crayola crayons at the Dollar Tree now.
Yes.
Get them there.
For $1.25 now.
Paint a wall a different color.
Exactly.
Like, that is very relaxing.
Anything to get your mind to relax and do something different. It will change the world, not to mention meditation and, all the tips and tricks we always say. And I'm just so happy. Thank you guys for listening. Start your healing journey today if you haven't already.
Amen.
We love you all.
Thank you so much for joining us this episode for the Soul Twin Stars podcast. Find us on our podcast Facebook page for Magical Mondays live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, where we will help you magically slay your weekdays, and for awesome giveaways. For more information about what other spiritual things Nik and I do and offer, visit peacefulnikthemedium.com. That's Nik with just a K. Or to connect with me, Lady Shadow, soulsandspirits.com is the place to go. If you want to be a guest on one of our shows, we would absolutely love that. Contact us. at soultwinstars@gmail.com. See you next Friday. I'm on Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple Music, Facebook, and on YouTube. Sending you all so many blessings. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, know that you are all cherished.